G'day guys and welcome back to your English Aussie. Today we're going to go through all the best players to buy, sell and hold for Gameweek 36. Let's go get some green arrows. So we're going to start off with the best defenders for Gameweek 36, and at the top of the list we do have Ryan Aitnuri of Wolves. Now Wolves have a team that have come back into form lately. Despite losing to Manchester City this week, I thought they put up a really nice performance. Ryan Aitnuri was an absolute fiend up that left-hand side, getting into some super advanced positions, almost scoring on 2 occasions against City, and someone who could really get some attacking returns over these last 3 weeks. I think he's up there at some of the right at the top of the list. With fixtures against Brentford, Brighton, Crystal Palace and Brentford, they are reasonable fixtures, and potentially Brentford may not have anything to play for come that game week 38, as well as Palace potentially resting some players given the FA Cup final in game week 37. Ryan Aitnuri makes it at the top of the list. Next up is Milenkovic and Nico Williams. You can add to this list Ola Aina now he is back and fit from injury. Nottingham Forest probably do have the best fixtures from a defensive standpoint over the last 3 games of the season. They do have Leicester, who have really struggled to score goals of late. West Ham, who again don't particularly score too many goals. And Chelsea, who have been struggling of late to find that cutting edge and clinical finishing. Look out for the Brentford defence as well, with Nathan Collins finding his way into this buy tier list. Brentford have Ipswich, Fulham and Wolves over the final 3 games of the season. Now, I do find that Ipswich do find some ways to get forwards and score goals. However, they are still one of the teams right at the bottom of the table. After Ipswich, they have Fulham, who have struggled offensively over the last few weeks. And finally, Wolves, who, although have been good offensively, may be right at the end of their season and looking to test out some new things. Potentially, Cunha may have made way by this stage. Next up on the list here is Josko Gvardiol. Despite him not playing in that fullback position for Manchester City, he is still a really nice option. However, if you do want to downgrade and you are looking to bring someone else in and you're not too worried about that goal threat, I think Manchester City's Ruben Diaz does provide another nailed option into that Manchester City backline. With Southampton, Bournemouth and Fulham in that final 3 fixtures, they are some really nice fixtures for Manchester City defensively, and I would look to a Ruben Diaz or Josko Gvardiol for that run-in. Finally, we do have Vitaly Mykolenko of Everton. Although Everton did concede this week 2 goals to Ipswich, they do have some nice fixtures with Fulham and Southampton in 36 and 37 before Newcastle in a tricky game week 38. Obviously, that Everton backline has been very solid this season. However, the injury to James Tarkowski has caused them a few problems over the last couple of game weeks, as they have had to find some replacements there. So do bear that in mind when you are thinking of a defender to bring in. In the sell column, we just have Ibrahim Konate. I think the Liverpool fixtures are becoming a little bit more tricky. I do expect a little bit of rotation in the Liverpool lineup now. They have wrapped up the league as well. And I think Konate is somebody, as he's been playing with Payne, that might be someone that finds himself rotated in those games. In the hold section is Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I think if you do have him, there's nothing wrong with keeping him for those last 3 games. He is obviously an attacking defender, but we've spoken lots about him this season and his role, and it being slightly more defensively positioned in previous years under Klopp. Next up on this list, we do have Daniel Munoz of Crystal Palace. Now, Palace do have 3 quite tricky fixtures from a defensive perspective in Tottenham, Wolves and Liverpool. I think if you have him in your team, he's not a transfer that you need to make out just due to those attacking returns. But if it is for one of these defenders on the left, then I can support moving Daniel Munoz in the last 3 game weeks. We also have Anthony Robinson, who's back in the Fulham side after missing the previous game week. with a small injury. Fulham have Everton, Brentford and Man City. Not fantastic fixtures. However, he is someone who does push on a lot down that left wing for attacking returns. If you have him in your team and you'd rather use your transfers in the midfield and attacking areas, I think he's somebody that you can just hold over those last 3 game weeks. Hope potentially he gets something against Everton in 36. And then hopefully you can use your rotation of defenders in 37 and 38 to maybe bench him over that period and hopefully focus your transfers on those more points worth midfielders or attackers who can really get you a haul of points in those weeks. Next up is Kirkes and Hodgson. Obviously, Dean did manage to score the goal for Bournemouth this weekend off a long Semenyo throw-in. However, Bournemouth do come up against Villa and Man City in 36 and 37 before Leicester in 38. Again, if you have the transfers and you're able to make sort of a luxury defender transfer to one of those on the left, he is fine to sell, but otherwise he can just be a hold for me. Use your rotations and then play him in that final game week against Leicester. And Mark Cucurella rounds out this defence here with Chelsea having Newcastle, Man United and Nottingham Forest. Reasonable fixtures. He is quite attacking. Again, similarly to the others, sell if you have the luxury transfers. Finally, just a quick shout out. If you can, like this video, subscribe down below if you haven't already. We also do have memberships active if you do want to support the channel in other ways. Again, thank you to all of you so far that have subscribed, have liked the video. I really appreciate you guys. And let's get straight back into the midfield. And we do have first up Brian Mbeumo of Brentford. A fantastic option at the moment with 3 really nice fixtures of Ipswich, Fulham and Wolves for Brentford. Mbeumo in some nice form and, of course, on penalties there. This is followed by Elanga of Nottingham Forest. He's recently building up his 90 minutes now a game. Explosive for Nottingham Forest. They've got a lot to fight for in the Premier League these last 3 games of the season to get in the Champions League, and these are the sort of attacking teams that you want to be targeting, teams that are needing to fight for something over those last few games of the season, and Elanga is somebody that I would definitely consider. 3 great fixtures with Leicester, West Ham and Chelsea as well. Next in this Tier 1 bisection is Kevin De Bruyne. The goal this week, the 3 bonus points this week, captained by a few of you and discussed on my live stream this week as a really nice option to have in. Southampton next week for Manchester City, and looking to prove why City should have extended his contract into next season. He's still got a lot to give for Manchester City. Expect him to be good over the next 3 weeks. I think those are definitely my top 3 transfers. Other people to look at: Morgan Rogers, Aston Villa, 3 good fixtures with Bournemouth, Tottenham and United. Jared Bowen of West Ham, one that I know viewers of my live streams are very big on, and we will have a lot to talk about with him next week in the live stream. West Ham have Man United, Forest and Ipswich, although I would say they are a team who don't often score that many goals. So he is someone to think about still with that good fixture run. Next up is Morgan Gibbs-White. Again, as mentioned, the Nottingham Forest nice fixture run. He could be someone else that you'd look at alongside Elanga. And finally, Mo Salah. Of course, most of you already have him in your team, but I did think that he is just worth keeping as a Tier 1. I expect Liverpool to help feed his chase for records this season. And into the Tier 2 bisection, we do have Justin Kluivert of Bournemouth. Penalty taker for Bournemouth at the moment. They still are fighting for those European places. Villa, Manchester City and Leicester, not the nicest fixtures, but definitely teams that do concede goals. So he does come in that Tier 2 section. Next up there is Bruno Fernandes of Man United. Despite the United rotations, Bruno is someone who could still get that big haul at any time, and is somebody that I would look at keeping or looking to buy potentially as a bit of a differential this season for the last 3 games. Next up on the list is Brennan Johnson of Spurs. A bit of a left wing suggestion here, but Spurs do have Palace, Villa and Brighton, teams that can concede multiple goals in their games at the moment. Johnson does have that knack of just finding the right place at the right time to score a goal, despite my thoughts on him and his inability to sort of get involved in the build-up play, provide good crosses. He is purely just a goal threat, with assists not quite his thing. Next up in the Tier 2 by Kaoru Mitoma of Brighton. He should now be fully fit for Brighton, hopefully starting and playing the 90 minutes. And looks like a nice option for their finish to the season with Wolves, a rotated Liverpool and Tottenham. Yuri Tielemans of Aston Villa slots in here. He's been really nice for Aston Villa, scoring the winner this week in their 1-0 win. He's someone who really makes that midfield tick, provides very cutting-edge passes, and could be good for goals and assists for Aston Villa in their final push against Bournemouth, Tottenham and United. Ismail Assar stays in here for Palace. And it was a toss-up between him and Eze, who recently won the Chess PogChamps Championship, showing he's not just a footballer, he's also a smart chess brain as well, for any of you guys who also follow chess out there. I think Ismail Assar fits the Tottenham game, the Wolves game and Liverpool game quite well, with his sort of counter-attacking potential using his pace. And finally in the sell column is Cole Palmer. If you haven't already, it's time for him to go. Quick shout out, if you can, please like this video, subscribe down below, and if you want to support this channel further, memberships are an option. And moving on to our forwards. And finally, our Tier 1 forwards, we do have Chris Wood, Yohan Wissa, and Matheus Cunha. I think these are the three key forwards that you want to be looking at. I think a lot of transfers this week will be surrounded around the forwards. As you'll see later on, I think Alexander Isak is someone that we can target to move this week for one of these Tier 1 forwards, with Newcastle having Chelsea, Arsenal and Everton in their last three. Could be some tricky fixtures for Isak, who is coming off at 70 minutes at the moment. Potentially has a 90 in him against Chelsea, but we will see how it goes after that. I think Matheus Cunha has shown great form for Wolves. He obviously is a risk that he potentially comes out of that side at some point if Wolves do look like they are going to sell him. Yohan Wissa with Brentford and great fixtures. Chris Wood with Nottingham Forest and great fixtures. All these teams have something to play for. Brentford and Nottingham Forest, that is, as we come to the end of the season. And finally, in the Tier 1 bye, we do have Ollie Watkins that's made his way in there this week. I think with Rashford's hamstring injury and Villa really pushing for that Champions League top 5 spots, he could be someone who could be a really nice pick and a bit of a differential as we go into those last 3 games of the season. In the Tier 2 bye section for strikers, we do have Danny Welbeck with João Pedro still being suspended, and Jorgen Strand Larsen as an alternative Wolves option with their nice fixtures of Brighton, Palace and Brentford to finish the season. All teams that do and can concede quite a few goals. So that rounds out the buys for the forwards. In the sells, we've got Nicholas Jackson. Chelsea just really aren't cutting edge and clinical at the moment. He's still a sell for me. Yes, he might be a differential, but not one that I would be looking at this stage. Cody Gakpo, still a sell. Liverpool's heavy rotation. Look for Harvey Elliott to get a few more minutes. And that rotation of that forward line means that I'm not big on Cody Gakpo. João Pedro with his suspension at the moment is a sell. And Raul Jimenez with Fulham's disappointing form at the moment. And Everton, Brentford and Man City in their final 3. He's just not for me. In the hold section, we do have Marmoush, Mateta and Isak. But if you are looking at one of those Tier 1 buy options, I would consider selling one of these or one or two of these 3 potentially this week or next week. I think Isak is a big option. Marmoush also with the imminent return of Erling Haaland. Could he come back for one of the final game weeks of the season? Mateta may be someone that you want to hang on to with Palace having Tottenham, Wolves and Liverpool in the final 3. However, those other 2 look prime for a transfer to one of those Tier 1 sections. That rounds out my buy, sell, hold. Please remember to like the channel. It makes a really big difference to a small channel like mine. If you can subscribe, that would be fantastic. If you want to support the channel further, we do have memberships active. You can see that popping up on the screen up above. And yeah, see you guys again later this week for a live stream, potentially some more videos. If you do want your team rated, comment below with your team ID, and I will have a detailed look at your team for Game Week 36 to suggest plans going forwards. Thanks very much for watching. This has been your English Aussie. Have a great week, guys. I'll catch you later.